Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Tablelands Regional Council Special Budget Meeting for 2025. Could I remind everyone to turn their devices onto silent or off, please? Do we have any apologies? No, thank you. I'll make an acknowledgement to country councillors for both this meeting and our ordinary council meeting. So I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we meet on today and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. Item 5, councillors, do we have any declarations of interest by councillors or senior council officers? No, thank you. I'll now pass over to the Chief Executive Officer.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor, and through the Chair. Pursuant to Section 13, Subsection 3A of the Local Government Act, as Chief Executive Officer of Tablelands Regional Council, I'm ultimately responsible for managing the local government in a way that promotes the effective, efficient and economical management of public resources. Among the most important responsibilities, if not the most important responsibility, of a local government chief executive officer is ensuring a local government is financially sustainable. Section 104(2) of the Act states that the local government is financially sustainable if it's able to maintain its financial capital and infrastructure capital over the longer term. That is, that we have adequate cash to meet our needs, including for emergencies, and we're able to maintain our assets in a fit and purposeful state. This includes that, as required, replacement and upgrades of assets, including treatment plants, buildings, roads and parks. In this regard, I must manage the local government prudently and work with staff and elected officials to achieve this, including preparing the budget for adoption by Council. This year is Council's most challenging budget yet, as we bring a forecast 10-year capital program of $530 million in today's dollars onto our 10-year long-term financial plan. There is a need to squarely address our challenges, and this budget is the necessary first step to ensuring that, as a service and infrastructure intensive business, Council has made the necessary tough decisions to position itself to meet this significant financial challenge and to ensure a sustainable future for our local government area. In preparing the budget, our key focus was on improving Council's financial position to ensure we could demonstrate to our banker, Queensland Treasury Corporation, that we can build sufficient cash reserves and have adequate borrowing capacity to fund the delivery of the Capital Works program, particularly the critical water and waste infrastructure, which is near end of life. Borrowing is not only necessary to partly fund this program, but also ensures intergenerational equity with cost shares by users of an asset or assets over the very long lives of these assets. To achieve the outcomes required, the way Council is managed and does business needs to change, particularly as we have a relatively small base of ratepayers and water, sewerage and waste payers, 13,600 and 10,500 approximately respectively, in proportion to the services Council provides and the almost $900 million of infrastructure assets that Council maintains. This next financial year will be a time of change and reform, with a number of initiatives to be undertaken across Council as part of the roadmap to achieving financial sustainability, including but not limited to rationalising underutilised and unused assets to a level our ratepayers can afford to maintain and sustain, forward planning for any asset that will reach end of life within this next 10-year period, undertaking service and operational reviews to ensure we are delivering the level of services our community can afford and that we have the right people in the right places to do so. Reviewing our rating system and fees and charges with a focus on better ensuring Council's long-term financial sustainability. Further developing asset management plans across asset classes, including assessing asset conditions in the critical area of water and sewerage, increasing revenue and finding operational efficiencies across the business of Council to ensure that the operational arm of Council is not dependent on revenue from the water, sewerage and waste utilities, and ensuring our utilities function as discrete businesses that generate enough revenue to pay their own way, including being able to fund the costs of renewals and replacement. Preparation has been intense and focused, with significant public interest. All the budget materials have been informed by many weeks of robust interrogation of every aspect of the budget and the operational and capital works plans, including by all councillors and key staff, with the added benefit of external expertise by way of Neil Castles. In that regard, I'd like to thank Neil for the level of forensic detail and financial analysis he has brought to the engagement. Council has greatly benefited from this experience, knowledge and insight. I'd also like to acknowledge the extraordinary work of Finance Manager Erica Bowden and the work of Erica's team and other staff across Council for their collegiality and focus that they've brought to the preparation of the budget over these past months. Finally, councillors, these materials have been prepared with your full knowledge and involvement. Your commitment to your responsibilities under Section 12 of the Act, including to represent the current and future interests of residents of our beautiful local government area and serving the overall interests of the whole local government area in the region, has been evident throughout the process. I thank you for your time, consideration and the thoroughness you've brought to the process as you assist me to discharge my statutory obligations under the Act as Chief Executive Officer of Tablelands Regional Council. Adopting this budget is the first crucial step of a roadmap towards financial and operational sustainability for our region. I am pleased to now put to you the budget and operational plan, comprising 23 items for 24 decisions for resolution of Council, with my recommendation that Council receive the report and endorse the recommendations for each item. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO. I'd like to move that the 2025-2026 budget and operational plan be received by Council. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Billman, thank you. I'll now go to my budget speech. Our Tablelands region is one of the most livable areas of Queensland, with a population of almost 28,000 dispersed over 11,500 square kilometres. We are mainly an urban population spread across a number of communities. However, our farmers play an integral role in the community, not only by growing crops and raising livestock, but also by offering employment opportunities around the maintenance, picking and processing of these crops. Many commercial businesses also support our farmers. There has been significant migration to the region over the last 10 years, with people moving here, often from large cities, due to the lifestyle the region offers and the many recreational activities available to families. Additionally, our region is increasingly seen as an ideal tourist destination due to its many natural and man-made attractions, as well as being a gateway to the Savannah and Gulf regions. Our region continues to experience strong economic growth. Our iconic and diverse primary industry sector, our health and wellbeing sector, our construction, our tourism, our mining, our hospitality and our retail sectors are all performing strongly. As well, our unemployment rates are relatively low. Like our region's citizens, families and businesses, Council has been impacted by the significant growth in costs since the advent of COVID. These cost increases are not limited to daily expenditure, but also the cost of upgrading and replacing our infrastructure. Council is in a similar position to most other Queensland local governments, which have recently or will soon be required to replace ageing water and sewerage infrastructure. Water and sewerage infrastructure is the invisible infrastructure. You might notice poor road conditions, but most people aren't aware of the conditions of water and sewerage infrastructure until it fails. Council has worked hard over the last few years to extend the life of its water and sewerage infrastructure, but the capacity to extend the life of Atherton and Yungaburra sewage treatment plants is extremely limited, and replacement assets must be constructed over the next few years before critical failures. In addition, Council must find a long-term solution for Atherton's water supply. To give you an idea of the cost increases, Council first started investigating the replacement of Atherton sewage treatment plant in 2018-19, with the cost being $10.5 million. In 23-24, it had reached $30 million. And today, our best forecast is $66 million. Yungaburra's sewerage upgrade is also around the corner, and this is estimated at $33 million. Such infrastructure is intergenerational, and funding it requires an intergenerational financial planning. It is within this context that Council has framed its 2025-26 budget, which comprises $94 million in operating expenditure and $48 million of capital expenditure. Our surplus is forecast to be $14,000. It's this Council's largest budget to date. The budget has two primary objectives. First, it will improve our efficiency and effectiveness in the delivery of core services. Second, it will improve Council's finances so that we are able to fund these critical infrastructure investments. After many weeks working with all councillors to place us in a fully informed position, the CEO and Finance Manager have put responsible budget and capital works reports to Council to consider and decide on today. Importantly, it has been informed with external expert financial and strategic advice. This budget places our destiny back in our hands so that if we do not receive the government grants we'll be applying for, we can fund these essential infrastructure through our cash and by borrowing. The Department of Resources delivered its last land valuation review in March 2023, which positively impacted almost every land holding as they saw the value of their asset grow. For rating purposes, we averaged this valuation and adjusted rate charges for a transition path to full valuation over 3 years. The transition is now complete, meaning rates will now be calculated using the full property value determined back in 2023, while still ensuring we only collect the revenue needed. Capital expenditure. On the capital side, there is $14.7 million for roads, bridges, footpaths and drains. There's $10.5 million on road repairs due to flooding, $7.1 million on parks, gardens and precincts, $5.4 million on sewerage works, $4.5 million on water improvements, and $2.6 million on community buildings and amenities. Our capital budget is supported by $18 million of state and federal funding. Miller Falls Precinct Improvement Plan will continue this year with $1.4 million for planned infrastructure upgrades, $850,000 for Herberton's Battery Park, and $500,000 for the finalisation of the Ravensay Water Treatment Plant. Malanda region will see the completion of upgrades that provide future water security with the Johnson River/Pyramon pipeline and the 3.1 million megalitre reservoir. We will also commence planning for Atherton's sewage treatment plant replacement and start considering our options for Atherton's water supply. This financial year, $898,000 has been allocated to commence this work. The public space investment in Priors Creek Parkland is well advanced and we expect to have a partial opening later in this calendar year. Council will continue to seek grant funding for key components like the multi-purpose playground, the amphitheatre roof and the footbridge cycleway over Priors Creek itself. I acknowledge the support of the Queensland Government in providing grant funding for Priors Creek. Simultaneously, we are working on commercial development opportunities seeking private investment in hospitality venues and short stay tourism, accommodation and inner city living. This will not only help meet the demand for more housing in our region, but also provide high quality tourism accommodation with benefits across the entire LGA, supporting, as an example, increased visitation to attractions like Herberton's highly valued village, mining and rail tourism assets. Priors Creek is on the way to becoming an iconic recreational commercial asset for the entire Tableland community. Operational expenditure. Of the operational expenditures budget of $94 million, there's $22.8 million for roads and bridges, $12.6 million for water, $9.9 million for community and corporate facilities, $9.3 million for waste, $6.8 million for wastewater, $4.3 million for parks, gardens and precincts, and $2.4 million on community events and tourism. This expenditure is in part used to maintain a large array of service, including maintaining almost 2,000 kilometres of roads, mowing some 7,000 hectares of land, doing more than 3,400 barbecue cleans, responding to over 18,000 customer requests, collecting 7,000 tonnes of waste, and delivering over 2,800,000 kilolitres of water, as well as providing staffing libraries, just to name a few of the services we provide as a council. Council's Chief Executive Officer has been tasked with finding operational savings, and among other savings through improving efficiencies, the CEO will undertake internal reviews of services we offer, how we procure with the aim of reducing costs, and how we manage projects so that we can achieve better outcomes. Council leases and licences will be included in the reviews to ensure Council is not committing to a higher level of support, including through building maintenance, than our ratepayers can sustain when it enters into licences and leases. Today's budget has already made a start with a minimum of $3 million in operational savings. Borrowings. TRC's current borrowings are $22.5 million, of which $10.6 million is funding for Ravenshoe and Millstream water reservoir, treatment plant and pipeline, and $7.9 million is for the Johnson River Pyramid water upgrade. Rates and charges. With this budget, Council is adopting an average increase in rates revenue of 7.9%. This does not mean that all rates will increase by 7.9%. Some will reduce, some will stay the same, some will increase, as rates are influenced by property valuation movements. This increase in rates revenue strikes a balance between what Council needs to enable investment and borrowing for critical assets and the daily pressures on Council to meet rising costs of doing business. A further 1% revenue increase is budgeted within rates and charges that reflects our region's continued growth. The average increase in general rates for Category A residential is $114 per year. The average increase in general rates for Category B multi-units is $182 per year. The average increase in Category M rural lifestyle is $173 per year. The average increase in general rates for Category F primary production is $689 per year. The average increase in rates for Category G large grazing properties is $2,675 per year. As Council undertakes and proceeds with water and sewerage upgrades, there is a heightened need for water and sewerage users to contribute to maintaining and renewing these critical assets. The water access charge will increase by 9% or $59 per year, while the water consumption charge will increase by 33 cents per 1,000 litres. Sewerage utilities will increase by 9.9% or $96 per year. The importance of an ongoing focus and investment in our water and sewerage assets is critical as we look to the future. Before wrapping up, I'd like to take this opportunity to reiterate that this budget is setting Council up to build critical assets and control our destiny. Today we're proposing a balanced budget to build tomorrow. I will take this opportunity to thank my fellow councillors for their contribution to this budget. Delivering any local budget is a significant undertaking, but to deliver a particularly challenging one that is firmly focused on the future is a hard task. Again, I thank every councillor. Finally, I'd also like to acknowledge the financial brains trust within Council, the senior management team, and in particular the Manager of Finance and the finance team for their effort they made in constructing the budget over many months. I'd also like to acknowledge our CEO for bringing her clinical leadership and strong oversight and guidance of the very significant budget process. We certainly couldn't have got here without their collective effort, dedication and professionalism. Councillors, I submit to you the 2025-2026 budget. Thank you. Councillors, I'll ask councillors now to talk in turn. We'll go to Councillor Cardew first. Thanks, Councillor Cardew.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. This council, like many other councils in Queensland, are facing financial challenges with regards to increased living costs and the need to maintain and upgrade aging infrastructure. Assets such as the Atherton and Yungaburra sewage treatment plants need replacing at a cost over $100 million. Other assets such as roads, bridges, buildings, community facilities also add to the financial burden of upgrade and maintenance. Council has recognised we can no longer sustain all of our existing assets and that hard decisions will need to be made to reduce underutilised assets and put plans in place to upgrade and maintain those assets essential to our community. On many occasions, I have advocated that we need to improve the way this council operates and the need to get back to basics. I am of the view council has lost its way operationally, which has now led us to a point where we now face huge financial challenges. This budget as presented takes in substantial rate increases across all categories, and while I understand the need for rate increases to maintain assets and service levels, I cannot justify such increases at this point, while I'm of the view that council needs to change the way we operate and deliver services. I would like to acknowledge fellow councillors and staff for their contribution, and I will continue to advocate and work towards achieving better outcomes to try and reduce the financial burden on our community into the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Cardew. Councillor Hayden.
Okay. The council aims to deliver the best outcomes for our region. However, after 20 years of working on budgets, I find the 2025-26 budget difficult to support. I would like to recognise the staff who devoted many hours to deliver this budget and extend my thanks to fellow councillors for their participation. Each decision, each figure have been weighed with the weight of the community in mind, and yet there remains a sense of disconnect between what is needed and what has found its way onto the page. The conversations behind closed doors have too often felt like echoes, with many voices, including at times my own, lost in the process. This year, more than most, the balance between ambition and responsibility has seemed just out of reach. The 2025-26 budget is very disappointing due to the general rate increases that Council is imposing on residents, adding to the existing cost of living struggles. Many locals are already facing hardship. I feel my input as a councillor into the capital budget was minimal, and only priority one items were included, disregarding constituents and councillors' requests. Whilst I acknowledge that council is required to operate with a financial sustainable base, taking into consideration our forward estimates, this budget will be a bitter pill to swallow for some.
Thanks, and we'll go to Councillor Barty next. Thank you.
This year's budget is a difficult one. Like many households and businesses, local government is facing the increasing cost of just about everything. Some assistance is provided via federal and state grants, but the application process is competitive, so funding support is not always guaranteed. One of our biggest financial challenges is to fund the investment needed to renew and upgrade infrastructure that provides essential water and sewage services to our community. Over $170 million in capital works is required for this work alone over the next 10 years, with some projects commencing in the 25-26 period. This work is essential to protect our health, the environment, and to provide water and sewage security for future growth. I'd like to acknowledge the staff who worked hard on this budget and the external support and guidance we've received from finance consultant Neil Castles. He His frank and honest assessment helped my understanding of our financial position, not just within our own council, but where we sit in the broader context of councils across Queensland. I feel that this information has helped guide a difficult budget process to a position that is forward-looking. We are asking a lot of our community to help us prepare to deliver these essential capital works. On average, a residential property that is connected to water and sewage and has waste collection will see an increase of around $7 a week. It's a big ask, and a big ask deserves a big answer. This budget responds with considered investments, not only in essential infrastructure, but also in the everyday spaces that shape our community. It includes an increase in parks and garden staffing to provide visible improvement in our towns and open spaces. There's so much more to do, and there are many challenges that we will need to navigate together. The adoption of this budget is a big step in the right direction to securing a sustainable future and delivering a livable Tablelands community for everyone.
Thanks, Councillor Barty. Councillor Spanner.
Thanks, Mayor. Councillors. This budget is, I see this budget as a balance of keeping our costs down while maintaining services. With the low ratepayer base and many assets, we are not immune to cost increases. Council is committed to securing funding for future funding opportunities for our region. We will also continue with our community grant funding, pensioner concessions, and to end, I would like to thank council officers for delivering a realistic and a responsible budget, which I believe delivers value for money. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Councillor Lamb.
Firstly, I'd like to thank everyone who voted for me and who put their trust in me to be in this position. I'm not only here as the elected councillor for my division, I'm here for the entire Tablelands Regional Council. My role is to make decisions that serve the best interests of the entire region, and sometimes those decisions may not be what the community believes is right. This budget reflects our commitment to being responsible with the community's funds while also investing in our community. We aim to deliver essential services. Some are entering end of life, which is a common theme with many councils across the state. I will be honest, the cost of living is affecting not only our ratepayers, but our entire community, and any increase may seem a lot. The average rate increase is approximately $7 per week, a large cup of coffee. Thank you to all the staff for their hard work in their position. I believe we have worked diligently to minimise rate increases where possible, while still funding vital infrastructure projects and maintaining a balanced budget. I am confident that we will emerge stronger, more equitable and sustainable.
Thank you. We'll go to the Deputy Mayor. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. I would like to begin by thanking the staff who have contributed to the preparation of this budget. Their work, particularly in compiling the financial information and constructing the budget, has been thorough, professional and greatly appreciated. This budget was not an easy one. Local governments are service and infrastructure intensive businesses. We are in the business of constructing and maintaining critical community infrastructure and delivering services that are more greatly affected by other inflation indexes than the consumer price index, such as the producer price index. Inflation remains persistent. The producer price index sits at 6.2%, and cost of living pressures continue to affect many in our community. Against this backdrop, the 25-26 budget is both financially disciplined and forward-looking. In my view, it sets a new benchmark for Council's financial sustainability and supports an unprecedented level of investment in critical infrastructure. Our Council is not alone in facing rising costs. Since amalgamation in 2008, the financial pressure on local governments has grown significantly, especially in essential service areas like roads and waste. This is a challenge shared by councils across Queensland, many of whom are grappling with ageing infrastructure and the need to upgrade or replace vital assets, while also maintaining financial responsibility. This budget represents the start of a long-term journey, a deliberate and structured pathway to strengthen our financial sustainability while delivering the infrastructure our communities need. It begins with a balanced budget, which we see as critical to that journey. Our 10-year long-term financial plan makes it clear to keep pace with our region's growth, the community will need to help carry the cost of investment. With a relatively small ratepayer base, we must ensure that our budget is carefully tailored to the size and scale of our region. We've heard before, as just one example, we anticipate needing over 100 million to fund 2 major infrastructure projects in the coming years. This will require strong fiscal discipline and maturity. We must demonstrate to our key financial partner, the Queensland Treasury Corporation, that we are responsible stewards of public funds and ready to meet the obligations that come with major investment. This budget is a reset, a chance to secure the Council's financial future, not just from an infrastructure perspective, but operationally as well. Under the leadership of our new CEO, I believe we are beginning a genuine transformation. Our goal is to become an employer of choice, an organisation that attracts, retains and supports the right people to serve our community effectively. To support this transformation, the budget includes a target to reduce our workforce by 10% through natural attrition. As positions become vacant, each role will be reviewed to determine if it remains fit for purpose and aligned with our future direction. Importantly, this approach will not require redundancies, and it provides clarity and certainty for our staff as we evolve. Another important initiative within this budget is a renewed focus on our assets, their condition, their use and long-term value to the community. We need a clear-eyed view of how our assets are performing. This includes being prepared to make difficult decisions about underutilised or ageing facilities that place a significant burden on our budget through maintenance, insurance and depreciation. By rationalising these assets where appropriate, we can free up resources to invest in the infrastructure and services that deliver the greatest value to our community now and into the future. So in conclusion, this is a budget that faces the reality of our economic environment head on, while positioning our council to thrive in the years ahead. It makes the hard decisions today to avoid even harder ones tomorrow. I believe this budget sets a clear path forward, a responsible, sustainable and visionary approach to managing the challenges we have faced and the opportunities ahead. One little point I would like to make. It is extremely important to note that this year's budget also includes $240,000 in community grants, $56,000 in concessions for community groups, coupled with $651,000 in pensioner concessions applied to the general rates. That represents approximately 2.7% of this year's general rates being returned to our community. So I will be supporting this budget knowing that it helps lay the foundation for a stronger, more resilient Tablelands Regional Council for this generation and the next.
Thanks, Councillor Billney. Councillors, I'll just, again, through my right of reply, thank Neil Castles. I would really like to express Council's gratitude to Neil Castles, who has worked with Council through this most important budget process. It was identified in March as revised estimates for critical infrastructure were updated to reflect the impact of the significant rise in construction costs, that Council would benefit from additional forensic financial expertise to help inform and guide the budget and capital works programs. Neil is perhaps Australia's leading expert on financial sustainability of local governments, and his record of working with councils is unmatched. Over a number of weeks, together with the CEO and Finance Manager, Neil has presented objective evidence and comprehensive financial analysis against public accounting benchmarks and standards, and has provided a robust financial sustainability pathway to underpin Council's required investments. On behalf of the TRC and all councillors, I'd like to thank Neil for his contribution, not only to this budget, but also for the sustainability laneway he puts us in. And I acknowledge that some of the councillors have already thanked Neil as well. Finally, councillors, councillors have come to today's meeting fully informed and aware of the current and future financial challenges of TRC. Like all councillors, I'm mindful of my obligations under the Local Government Act to act in the overall interests of the entire Tablelands community that we have been elected to represent. Thank you very much, Neil. So now, councillors, we've got a mover and seconder to receive the 2025-2026 budget and operational plan. Those in favour? That's carried. That's 7. Thank you. So, councillors, that brings us to the first of our motions that we need to get through today. So, can I have a mover for item 1, rating categories? Councillor Barty is moving, and Councillor Bilney is seconding. Those in favour? Carried. That's 7. Sorry, councillors, I've just got the wrong page here. Could I have a mover for item 2, which is differential general rates? Councillor Spenos moving and Councillor Barty seconding. Those in favour? Carried. That's 7. That brings us to item 3, councillors, and we've got 2 separate motions for item 3. Could I have a mover for item 3.1, which is special charge for Malanda Sewerage Scheme? Councillor Bilney's moving 3.1. A seconder, please. Councillor Barty. Those in favour? Carried. That's 7. 3.2. Rural Fire Brigade Levy. Could I have a mover and seconder? So Councillor Lang and Councillor Bilney. Those in favour? That's carried. Item 4, Emergency Management Fire and Rescue Levy. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Barty and Councillor Spanos. Those in favour? Carried. That's 7. Item 5, Sewerage Utility Charges. Can I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Barty and Councillor Bilney. Those in favour? Carried. That's 7. 6, Water Utility Charges. A mover and seconder, please. Councillor Spanos and Councillor Lang. Those in favour? Carried. That's 7. Item 7, Waste Management Utility Charges. Can I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Barty and Councillor Lang. Those in favour? Carried. And I think I've missed one, councillors. Oh, no, I haven't. No, I got it. Okay, the next one is item 8. Can I have a mover for item 8, levy and payment? Councillor Bilney and Councillor Spanos. Those in favour? Carried. Item 9, interest. Can I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Barty and Councillor Spanos. Those in favour? Carried. That's 7. Item 10, concessions. A mover and seconder, please. Councillor Barty and councillor Spanos. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. 7. Item 11, water usage concession policy. A mover and seconder, please. Councillor Bilney and councillor Vardy. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Item 12, water usage concession policy for not-for-profit recreation sporting clubs. The mover and seconder, councillor Spanos, councillor Vardy. Those in favour? Carried, that's 7. 13, rates and charges concession policy. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Spanos and councillor Bilney, thank you. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. 7. Item 14, a mover and seconder for adoption of revenue statement. Councillor Vardy and councillor Lang. Those in favour? Carried, that's 7. 15, adoption of annual operational plan. Councillor Bilney and councillor Lang. Those in favour? Carried, that's 7. 16, adoption of financial statements. A mover and seconder. Councillor Vardy and councillor Lang. Those in favour? Carried, that's 5-2. Councillor Hayden and councillor Cardew. Item 17, investment policy. A mover and seconder. Councillor Bilney's moving and councillor Spanos. Those in favour? That's carried, that's 7. Item 18, the debt policy. A mover and seconder, please. Councillor Vardy and councillor Spanos. Those in favour? Carried, thank you, that's 7. Item 19, revenue policy. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Spanos, councillor Lang. Those in favour? Carried, that's 7. Item 20, statement of estimated financial position. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Vardy and councillor Spanos. Those in favour? That's 7. Item 21, estimated activity statement. A mover and seconder, please. Councillor Bilney, councillor Vardy seconding. Those in favour? It's carried, 7. And item 22, business activities. A mover and seconder. Councillor Vardy and councillor Lang. Those in favour? Carried, that's 7. And item 23, adoption of the budget. A mover and seconder. Councillor Lang and councillor Bilney. Those in favour? That's 6. Thank you. And councillor Cardew against. Is that it? Thanks very much, everyone. We call the meeting closed.